All right, I think we're live. This is it. Okay, welcome everyone. It looks like we have a number of people who just joined us, and we're super excited to have this event today for you guys. I would say that this is our first time doing this Microsoft project or Smartsheet event, and we had a lot of enthusiasm, which is really, really great. For those of you who are MPUG members, Melissa will be part of a panel that I'll be hosting in April as well, which is slightly different than what this is. That one is really more of a Smartsheet one-on-one. If you would like to learn more about that, please let us know. But for the purpose of today, it's really all about Microsoft versus Smartsheet, right? And so before we start, again, my name is Gabe Young. What I would love to see, if those of you who are here already, go ahead and just put in, like, where are you guys from? I'd love to know, like, hey, do we have people from where we are over here in the Northeast? We're based out of Wilmington, Delaware. Melissa is actually an extended part of our team, and she's all the way out in Arizona. Okay, I see Colorado. I see Massachusetts. A couple of Massachusetts folks. A couple of folks from my home state in PA. Beautiful. We have someone all the way from Germany. Amazing. So good evening over there in Germany. Oh, okay, awesome. Someone from Mexico. Oh, that's a dot. All right. Yeah, some familiar names on there too. So this is really great. So we only have an hour. That being said, before we even jump into all this, I will also say, those of you who are PMPs, this will count as one of your PDUs if you want to go ahead and enter it in that way for us. And then let me first introduce Ira and Melissa, right? So many of you know Ira Brown. Ira Brown's the founder and CEO of Project Widgets. And Ira hates it when I say this, but I mean, he's really, we will use 25 years experience on our slides, but I mean, it's really closer to like half a century, right, Ira? So, but he is one of the most experienced Microsoft project folks out there on the planet. And there's no better person to represent Microsoft project for this side of the battle. So welcome, Ira.
Thank you very much.
And
everybody's doing well today.
Yeah. So again, Ira, amazing. Can't wait to hear all the good things and why you love about Microsoft Project. And Smartsheet, which is really a newcomer in this space relative to Microsoft Project. Melissa is a 3-time PMO director who's a current user of Smartsheet. She's one of the biggest Smartsheet advocates we know, and she's been part of our team for part of this year and had really great conversations with our clients. And Melissa is, of course, a Smartsheet advocate, right? So welcome, Melissa. We know that you're going to represent Smartsheet very, very well in the next 45 to 50 minutes or so. Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, Melissa. So, all right. So real quick, those of you who don't know who we are, I'm still sharing my screen here. So we are Project Widgets. And we are a Microsoft Project partner for the most part, for most of our career. We've been here for 18 years doing it in this way. As recently as 2 years ago, we became a Smartsheet partner. And part of that story is, Ira and I, and we had another colleague, we were at a PPM conference, and, we had a really, really cool, presentation, and the audience loved us. And quite frankly, a lot of them came to us afterwards and said, you know what, Gabe or Ira, we really like what you guys did up here. We love you as people, but guess what? We're using Smartsheet. So that's when we realized we really needed to, have a hand in at least both of these. Microsoft Project, which has been around for a very long time, where a lot of people love, really great at these massive enterprise, these projects, especially for our life science clients. But we also recognize the need for some of these other clients who are more interested in what Smartsheet has to offer. And there are some differences that we'll talk about today. So we've been in business for 18 years, but our experience here, again, it's just 35 years, but it's honestly a little bit longer than that. And we are published authors, and although most of our clients just happen to be in life sciences because of the geography of where we are, we do have clients in other industries as well. So our services is really, we have in 2 separate sections. Our first offerings are PPM offerings, which we implement Microsoft Project or Smartsheet. We provide consulting, training, custom solutions, and also mentoring support for our clients. And then we also do consulting services. So we have clients who tap into our network and our resources where they may need contract resources for project management, IT, and other support functions such as quality, regulatory, packaging, or labeling. So that's a little bit about us. So I see some of you. Okay, I see some pretty fun comments on there, but I also see some of you having challenges with the screens. So if you're, so I am controlling the screens and which ones are being promoted to the larger screens. So if you want to see Ira or Melissa maximized or one of their smaller screens maximized, we will be doing that when the time is right. So I will be controlling some of that for you. So, okay. All right, so first question. Let's start with Ira, okay? When it comes to project management, really using the tool in terms of Microsoft Project, like overall, tell us what's so great about Microsoft Project. I know some people here know, but there are probably some people who are really heavy Smartsheet users who do not know.
Yeah, thanks, Gabe. Well, first of all, welcome everybody to our Deathmatch today. And we're really excited to talk about, what we love about each of these applications. So I've been using Microsoft Project now, as Gabe mentioned, well over 30 years. And, when I first started using Microsoft Project, it was just a standalone desktop application. And it has really evolved over the years to become much more of an enterprise tool. You may remember in the early 2000s, Microsoft introduced what they called Project Server, and that evolved into something called Project Online. And the product continues to get more and more powerful all the time. But we're going to be focusing on Project Online today. But one of the great things about Microsoft Project is it has that very familiar Microsoft Office look and feel to it. So if you're comfortable working within the Office ecosystem, when you go to Microsoft Project, it kind of feels a lot like Excel in a lot of ways, and you can start using it pretty effectively right away. But as you'll learn, as you start to use it, there are many powerful features that it has that make it very suitable for what you're trying to achieve with project management. You can create tasks, you can link them up using dependencies, finish to start relationships, and all different kinds of dependencies. There's just all kinds of options with lead and lag time. There's a really powerful scheduling engine built in to help calculate critical path. So the product is just to use, but should you want to become a power user of the product, there's many advanced features that you can take advantage of, multiple baselines, date constraints. One of the features that a lot of our clients use is this whole idea of being able to create master projects along with sub-projects. So, and in fact, very recently, we created our brand new widget around that very topic, which I'll be telling you more about later in this webinar. So, that's just some of the reasons why Microsoft Project is a great tool, and I've really enjoyed using it over the years.
Thanks, Ira. Is there an opportunity for you to, at least for those people who have not seen Project, just to show them how to quickly navigate or use the tool?
Absolutely. Yeah, let's take a look. So you can see I'm in Microsoft Project right now. And if you're a Microsoft Project desktop user, this probably looks very familiar to you. And the good news is that everything that you know about Project Online as a standalone product applies to when you're using Project Online, with the big difference being that you're now able to save your projects to the cloud. And that enables many additional features for reporting. So we have, for example, integration with Power BI to be able to create reports and dashboards. And I'll show you some of that a little bit later in this webinar. But one of the things, as Gabe mentioned, that we've done at Project Widgets with Microsoft Project is that it's a very configurable, customizable, and extensible application. So that led to the creation of many of these add-on products that we have for Microsoft Project, which we call our widgets. And you can see if you take a look up in the ribbon here where it says widgets, this is how you launch many of our different widgets, which I will show you a couple of today, but I just want to show you this one feature that some of you that use Microsoft Project may not even be aware you can do something like this. But let's say you've built a project, a template, and you have these standard milestones that you've created, and certain milestones you want to make sure people do not have the ability to remove from their project or even rename. So we've created this capability where we can identify these mandatory tasks. So if I, for example, if you see this little purple circle here, if I click on that task and I hit my delete button, notice it says this task is a mandatory task and cannot be deleted. So we allow you to kind of build in your own governance rules into Microsoft Project, leveraging some of our automation capabilities. And this is just one example of how we can really extend Microsoft Project to meet an organization's requirements. So that's what I really love about Microsoft Project.
Thanks, Ira. And I also love Microsoft Project. I know there are a lot of Microsoft Project fans here. I've also been using it for a very long time, so I know some of the folks who are in this meeting as well, in this webinar. But Smartsheet does look sexy in some ways. It's a little bit different from Microsoft Project. And Melissa, I'd love to hear from you. Like, why do people love Smartsheet? What's so great about it in terms of project management, how we manage projects? So I know Smartsheet can do a lot of other things, and this may be the first time some of our audience is seeing Smartsheet.
Yeah, thank you. What I love most about Smartsheet is the ease of use, and you can get in and start creating things right away because it's got an Excel, PowerPoint, MS Teams build or feel to it. I think it's a combination of all those tools in one, and then it takes it to the next level in that sense. And I was able to build a tool as a PMO director that I needed versus having to conform to a tool, which most things on the market, you have to pull those in and it takes a long time to get implemented. And then just the adoption rate takes forever. So I like it for the ease of use, for what it's worth. And then you can use it for more than project management itself, but we'll concentrate on that. As a PMO director, what I loved about it was building the tools for my PMs. I could actually aggregate the information up from a portfolio and program level that made it just automated. It took away the duplicity of reporting needs, redundancy, and it just saved a lot of time and a lot of customization that we could build pretty easily. So for that matter, if I share within Smartsheet, just high level, being an introduction to what people are used to or new to it, there's a lot of capabilities. You can look at it in multiple views. You can do cell linking. We can do permissions and sharing and control who sees what. We can do critical path. So there's a lot of elements that you can put together into it from those capabilities. But from a Microsoft Project feel, it's pretty much the same. It looks like an Excel-based tool itself. We've got Gantt charts. We've got critical path where, just click on that and here you go. But we can also look at it from a card view. So if you want more of a Jira Kanban fill, and we can filter these by looking at it. We can also look at it and connect. So here's more of the grid view, like Excel, but we can also do cell links, hyperlinks itself, and build tools around it. So, here's our RAID log, and we can build up what we need to see in there itself. We can also immediately throw together a project dashboard, and we can standardize this across all the projects. And then even better, we can take it up a notch and we can roll these all up to a portfolio and get real-time metrics just by using the sheets in the projects without portfolio reporting, without program reporting, and without having to report at the project level, because this takes the information from the project.
Thank you. I mean, that's
the way,
really nice.
The founder worked at Microsoft prior.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of good ideas that translated from one tool to the other. And look, this was a really great overview of what what's so great about Smartsheet. I will say that although I'm sold as to what Microsoft Project does, and I've been using it for a number of years. I was also a Smartsheet customer for a period of time, and fell in love with the tool. For what Smartsheet's capable of as well. I mean, again, they're both really amazing. Continue. Those of you who are on the chat, please continue to ask questions. We're going to do our best to answer them as we go. It looks like Mark Osborne wants you guys to get a little rougher than again, we're starting off, just really getting feelers out. This is supposed to be a little bit friendly, but yeah, let's see how it goes. So let's keep going here. Let's move on to the next topic. And so project management overall, I think you guys gave us a really good overview. But what about when it comes to linking? Because I know Smartsheet didn't start off with project with all these links the way it was in the first iteration, and Microsoft Project really was this is from the first version. This was the most important part, right? So Ira, why don't you tell us more about how linking works, especially for enterprise projects and even at the program or portfolio level?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm going to do here, if you could just give the focus to my screen here, I'm just going to go into a blank project for a second here. I'm going to put in a couple of tasks, task A, task B, and task C. And let's give them some durations, 10 days, 12 days, 5 days. Okay. So I'm sure many of you are familiar with how we go about adding tasks into Microsoft Project and applying durations to them. A lot of people, when they see the start and finish columns, they think they're supposed to type in dates, and that's actually, you could do that, but that actually creates what are called date constraints in Microsoft Project. So what we recommend you do is take advantage of the ability to create links between one task and another. So the most common type of link you can create is called a finish to start relationship. That's the default link type. So for example, if I just highlight task A and task B here and click this button, notice that it linked the two tasks up together. So now task B can't happen until task A is done. So that is sort of the most basic kind of dependency you can have. But what you can do is, let's say you want to establish a different type of relationship. You can just double click on that little link line right there. And then you can change this from a finish to start relationship to a start to start relationship. And notice now task B will start when task A starts. So again, another type of link. So there's 4 different link types you can create in Microsoft Project. But the other really nice feature is that you can introduce lag to those links as well. That's a native feature. So what if I wanted to say that task B couldn't start until 5 days after task A completes? I can just put in 5 days of lag, and notice that's exactly what's happening right now. Now, one of the other things I like about Microsoft Project is the way you can create links in a very visual sort of way. Like, what if I wanted to say that task C can't start until task B is done? Watch how I can grab a hold of that Gantt bar there, just kind of drag it and drop it on top of task C. And that is another way you can create a link as well. So there are some easy techniques for creating these links in Microsoft Project. You can build the links within a plan. You can also create inter-project dependencies where you can create these links from one project to another. And so there's just many really nice features around creating dependencies that I think a lot of people rely on in Microsoft Project.
Thanks, Ira. And Melissa, we're getting a number of questions about Project and Smartsheet. But can you share with us really quick, how did we do it in Smartsheet?
Very similar. Let's take a look at this. So again, we've got the finish to start, start to finish ideas that capabilities that Ira shared. If you want to click on the predecessors, you've got your number of items here. Put in your lag or your lead. With that lead, you put in a negative number, so it starts that many days before on here. And so you've got your predecessors here, and then potentially you can drag and drop what's happening on here. And I'm gonna try and pick something that's not already taken care of. Let me pull out something up here. There we go. So very similar to Microsoft Project in that sense, that we can drag those relationships and fill in those predecessors on here as well.
Great. So thank you, Melissa. So I'll also say, by the way, we're getting a lot of really good questions. We're going to do our best to answer some questions along the way. We also hope to have a little bit of time at the end to also answer questions. And if we do not get to your particular question live, what we will do is we will go back to our chat log and do our best to answer these questions to you personally with a separate email after the event. So keep the questions coming. We're not ignoring you. We're trying to crack through as much as we can. But yeah, keep adding questions if you have them, if you think of them. We'll do our best to address some of these this hour and then some more of these after the event. So, all right, great. Thank you, Melissa. So what about, tracking progress? So I know that some of you are using Project in a way that you can tell a story of what happened, right? So, whether there's baselines, the way you may track progress. I know some people have even talked about creating scenarios. So if there's time to talk about that, we can even work that into this topic as well. Ira, how do we, for those of you who don't know, how do we track progress? Like what do you get out of your Microsoft Project out of the box?
Yeah, let's talk about tracking in Microsoft Project. There's a lot of different ways people go about tracking progress. Probably the most common one that people will use is % complete tracking. And the idea there is you can go into Microsoft Project and you can say this task is 10% done, 50% done, 100% done. So just a way of letting people know how far along are you with the task in terms of % complete. If you want to take it up a notch, you also have the ability to track actual dates. You could say my task actually started on this date and actually finished on this date. You can track actual work, actual cost, actual duration. If you want to take it even further, there is the ability to track your progress where you actually can put in, here's how much time it's taking us by day to complete this task. I worked 4 hours on Monday and 5 hours on Tuesday. So you actually have this time tracking type capability as well. And one of the things I haven't shown yet, I'll go there just for a moment, is Microsoft Project also has this feature called the Project Web App, PWA. And this is a browser-based way of working with Microsoft Project and Project Online. And with this PWA, you have the ability to go to what they refer to as the tasks page. And on the tasks page, this is where a team member can see all of the tasks that they're working on across all of their projects. They can see it in a Gantt type view. That's one of the options. Or you could even change the Gantt view to more of a time phase data view. And this is where someone could go in and say, well, these are the tasks that I'm working on, and I spent 3 hours on Monday and 2 hours on Tuesday. They can submit their time back to the project manager, who can then review and approve that time and send it back to the project. So that's many, many different options in terms of tracking progress. And I'll just mention one other thing. You mentioned baselines, Gabe. So one of the features of Microsoft Project is the ability to snap a baseline of your project. And for those of you that may not be familiar with baselines, it's basically a way of capturing this type of snapshot of your project data that says, what does my project look like at a particular point in time? Normally, this is something you would do at the start of a project once it's been approved, and it'll capture your start dates, finish dates, durations, costs, and work for every task and every resource in your project. And then you have the ability to compare the baseline information back to the current information in your project to be able to see the variances, to see how far off you are from your original schedule. And Microsoft Project lets you capture a total of 11 different baselines over the life of your project. Now, should you need more than 11, Project Widgets has created this add-on widget for Microsoft Project, which we call Snap It, where you can take unlimited snapshots of your project. I'll talk more about that a little bit later in the webinar, but yeah, I think that should give you a good idea of what some of the capabilities of Microsoft Project are.
Yeah, it's interesting, Ira, that you mentioned that about baselines, because those of you who are Microsoft Project experts and used this before, that with the limitation of 11 baselines, I don't know why they stopped this. Microsoft Project stops us at 11. It's just such a weird number. But in addition, you also mentioned that it only captures 5 of those fields, right? Like, cost, duration, work, start, finish. And, Project Widgets has done a really great job of, finding ways to work around some of these limitations. And that's where that snapping tool will give you an unlimited amount of baselines, capturing additional fields, and even naming the baselines. And, because in Microsoft Project, you can't do that. But I suspect that Smartsheet has something pretty cool with tracking progress as well, right? So, Melissa, why don't you take it away?
All right. So from a progress perspective, as you're looking at all of this, we can automate and give some objectivity to the progress itself. So as you can see, we've got, different statuses on health, and maybe we don't want that to be subjective. We want that to be objective. So as something is finishing, we're gonna, that's too high of a level. Something's finishing, we've got some automation built into the sheet itself. So we're going to color code that already automatically. We also have it formulated so that if we're within a week for what we're saying, so we're within 3 days, that's what we said. So within 3 days of the project being due, we're turning it yellow. We want to give an advanced warning for what's happening. And then if it's past due, it's red. So maybe we're going to say for 1, that's within 3 days, but let's look at 4.2. All of a sudden, we're not late anymore. We're not giving that alert and that warning itself. So we can program that in here itself. We can also easily throw some flags out there that create some reporting aspects of it. So let's look at that reporting that we put together. And this is completely customizable. You can go in and update this dashboard with anything that you want to put in there from your project. You want to create a new report for it and display it on here, then so be it. It goes in here in and of itself. So now we can see, if something's been flagged, something's overdue, we're looking at the whole picture of the project. We're looking at the RAID log, we're looking at the plan, we're looking at the resources themselves on here to see what's going on at a high level. Then this also rolls up automatically in real time to the portfolio. So if we want to see what's happening there, to track progress. So high level items here, completely customizable. You want to see the key milestones with a Gantt chart? That's pretty easily done. Go in and let's edit it. Let's not hide the Gantt chart, and we'll throw that in itself. There we go. It just needed to think a little bit, but now you can see the Gantt chart in here. So you can tailor your dashboards to whatever you want to present. You can also standardize that as well, but we want to be able to see what's happening with capacity and demand. So we built, Smartsheet does have resource management, and it has a bunch of different premium applications that are just going to take it to the next level. But there's things that you can do within Smartsheet to be measuring resources with or without resource management in and of itself. So what we're looking at here for the project, based off of another sheet that we've got in a collective setting, here's our resources, here's our management. They put in the time per week on what we're looking at. We can also look at it from a consulting perspective. Again, this is dated from dummy data, but we're looking at high-level information so that when we're looking at capacity and demand management, what's going on with the different people on a week-to-week basis, not task and line basis itself. For that, we can roll that up to the portfolio itself. And then from an integration perspective, Smartsheet has a lot of items that are pre-built. So if you want to find something, say it's for project management, I want to go in and look at construction management, I want to look at professional services, it does also have pre-built templates as a set so that the reporting and the progress is already built into it. Or you can do it on your own. And what that's going to look like, so I'm going to take a big step back so that you can see how some of this is constructed when you're looking at like the bigger picture of Smartsheet and as you build it. So looking at an entire PPM solution, if all of these, so these are sheets, these are Smartsheet reports, and these are dashboards. So if you want to look at a big picture and how the information is flowing, you can create your own custom tool for what it is you want to see and how you want to see it. And the information flow is in real time. So as you're using the green sheets, the blue and the dark and the light blue are automatically updated in real time. So you want to look at it from a big picture. And oh, by the way, this is a dashboard where we put some of our solution sets into it so that you can see, sheets, intake forms, different aspects to it. We put our instructions as a learning module for new people coming in on how to use this, besides what Smartsheet provides from a university to learn itself. But you can even embed videos. So, here's an example. I've got it on silent, but here's a video showing some instructions on what to do in Smartsheet itself. So from a reporting perspective, there's a lot you can do. You can even embed it into MS Teams, create different Teams channels for projects or for your executives, and have an executive reporting channel that links right to the dashboards that they can see it in real time, and they don't have to ask you, and you don't have to send them reports on a weekly basis.
That's great, Melissa. And I think you've touched on a couple of the areas that we're going to be talking about in a little bit more detail in a little bit as well. By the way, I still see a lot of questions coming in the chat. Some of you are answering each other's questions, which is awesome. So thank you for that. It's clear that we're not going to get to every single question, so we're going to do our best to do some of those things. Also, some of those questions that you're asking are topics that we're going to be covering in the next half hour. So so again, I'm not ignoring questions related to resources or collaboration or things like that. Those are actually topics that we'll be getting to next. Melissa, while I have you on here, why don't we move into the next topic? Again, some of these you already touched on. When it comes to program and portfolio management, what are really some of the strengths that you see in Smartsheet? I know you showed us some of these really great dashboards, but what else you got?
Well, it's if you want to dream it up, you can put it in there. So from a portfolio perspective, and I'm going to go back to how it's connected itself. So as we're looking at these items, and this will be a little bit cleaner to see, the sheet is the basic unit in Smartsheet. That's where you're going to do all your work, and how you're going to get that information in there, how you're going to manage it, how you're going to collaborate with it and use it. The sheet is your basic function. The reports are built off of those sheets. And so you can do a report that really takes one or multiple sheets and aggregates the information and filters whatever's in that sheet to exactly what you want it to be. So if I want to look at open risks and items across all the projects, then I can do that and filter that information down from that sheet. And it's bidirectionally updated. So if you want to look at a report on here, so look, here's a report. And sorry for the lag. Just refreshed. Sorry about that. So here's a report, and there's nothing in it that I'm going to create a report. This is all coming from 48 different sheets across all the projects. So I'm going to see all my open action items across every project. And then if I need to go down into something, I can click onto it and go right down into the sheet where that information is stored. But it's bidirectionally updated itself. So this report aggregation absolutely helps from a program and portfolio perspective, because you filter it, you gather it, you build it, you filter it, then you can group it and put some summarization on here to know, counts, summaries, information like that. But then it's actually still drillable to go down to it. So the reports are absolutely essential. And then when you throw together the report information and you build it out onto the dashboards, it can be used all in real time too. So we're just placing it on, your PowerPoint slide, so that when you're looking at these dashboards, you see the information in the sheet. So not everybody needs to be in the busy sheet that's being the work management. We're able to surface it and program it to show the information that you're looking for.
Thanks, Melissa. And Ira, I know that Microsoft Project was originally designed to, to manage projects at a very tactical, at the task level. But what are some of the things that, that we can do in Microsoft Project for programs and portfolios?
Yeah, so with Microsoft Project, we have the ability to associate a project to a program, and then we can actually then view those projects grouped by the program that they belong to. So for example, I am in the browser-based project web app right now. I'm going to click on this tile here for my projects, and this will bring up what is referred to as the Project Center. And notice in the Project Center, we are seeing the various programs that we've created. And then below that, we see all of the projects that belong to that program. And each one of those projects, you can see the high-level timeline for that project. And we do have the ability to click this hyperlink if we want to be able to drill into the details for that project. And when I click that hyperlink, it will take me to what are referred to as the project details pages. Now, one of the add-ons that we've created for Microsoft Project, we refer to as our project details portal. So what we're looking at right now is an example of the project details portal, where you can see that we have the ability to capture information about the program, and we can capture, for example, the goals for our project. We can capture risks and issues and key decisions and actions and lessons learned. And this is all customizable and configurable by Project Widgets to be able to give you a very friendly, easy to use experience for your end users. And then all of the data that's captured in this project details portal gets written to a central database in the cloud, so that we can then leverage this data for program and portfolio level reporting. So for example, as we use Power BI as a way to create our reports and dashboards. So here's an example of a Power BI report for a given project. And you can see that we've aggregated milestones and issues, and any other information can be displayed here, along with these tiles that will show the counts of things like issues and actions and milestones. We can show high-level KPIs up top here. And then we do have the ability, similar to what Melissa talked about, to drill down into any one of these areas to get to the details, to navigate to the project and see more information about that particular item that we've drilled down into. One other thing I would just like to mention is that one of the tools that we've created to make it even easier to build projects and relate them back to a program is we refer to it as our project initiation widget. I'll just give you a quick look at that. So let me just close these projects for a second. So over in the ribbon where it says widgets, I'm going to click the button that says project initiation widget. And this is where I can create a brand new project and tie it back to a particular program. So I'm going to create this program here called PW 575. And then when I press enter, I'm then able to select the type of project that I want to be able to initiate. So let's say I want to be able to initiate a new integrated program plan. I select that type of project, and then on the widget, it's now going to prompt me for some of that high-level information that I might want to be able to collect for the project, such as maybe a project has a finance ID or functional area, therapeutic area. Notice that as I type in this finance ID, it's actually forming the name of the project. So this is a way that the widget can enforce a standard project naming convention. So this is a technique that we can use to build projects, relate them back to a program, and we can even use this to build a master schedule in a completely automated fashion. That's one of the newest features that we've added to this, where we can build sub-projects, put them into a master schedule, and even create the inter-project dependencies in a totally templated manner. So yes, these are some of the techniques that we have to enforce the project and portfolio management.
So Ira, one of the things that that we know, like in Smartsheet, some of the things, Melissa just shared with us some of the native features of Smartsheet and how a lot of these really great things are just built in there. And I know that Ira, through your experience, you had to maybe find creative ways to solve clients' very specific needs with custom solutions, right? And we have a really good question here by one of our guests. Do you need to have project widgets as an add-on for any of the dashboarding, such as the integration with Power BI? Because those are the things that looks like you're going to have to do to help turn on some of these, unlock these features, right?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. So yes, I'm demonstrating a lot of the widgets that we have, but there are many features that are native to Microsoft Project and Project Online that can be achieved through standard out-of-the-box functionality with configuration, meaning you're not writing custom code to do it. So for example, if I go back to, just give me a second here. If I go back to my browser and I go to my Project Center, and where we see the projects that are grouped by program. So that is a feature that is native to the Project web app, where as long as I have a field called program and I've identified what the program is that a project belongs to, then we have the ability here to say, let's group our projects by program. I could also choose to group them by owner or group them by any of the other enterprise attributes associated with the project. So that's all native capabilities to Project Online. In terms of the integration to Power BI, Power BI has the ability to use Microsoft Project data as one of its data sources. So as I build these kinds of reports and dashboards, I can use the Microsoft Project data as the data source, along with other data sources from within my organization, to be able to create these kinds of reports. And this is certainly something that a user can become very proficient in, and this is also an area where we help our clients quite a bit in terms of creating custom reports and dashboards for them.
Thank you, Ira. I do want to move us along a little bit.
So if I can,
go ahead.
Gabe, if I could show something real quick. So I'm checking out the chat, and there's a lot of questions about resource management. So I don't feel like I touched on that enough.
No, that's the next topic. So go ahead.
Oh, okay. So Smartsheet just came out with a brand new capability a month ago called Workload Function. And so they do have an application called Resource Management that is an add-on. It's a premium application where you can put your resources in and you can manage their time and you can do their time tracking and the projects and such. So I can go in here, I can track time to different things. You've got approvals and all that stuff. But if you don't have the budget for resource management as an add-on, this is a new functionality, and it comes from down here on resource management. It's called Workload. It's their new workload tool. And so just by expanding it, and this is based off of the resources in here, and I'll show you in a minute, but you can expand it and you can see the schedules by person and you can drag things down. Maybe I don't, or you can change things in here. So maybe I want to reassign it. Maybe Jamie doesn't have it. I'm going to send it to Melissa. So now Melissa has it. So you can drag and drop tasks for the different people and what's going on in the sheet. You can see over allocation as well up here. But if you go back to the sheet, how this works is you have to have your start and end dates. You have to have the person in here and not by name. So if I were to go in and just say, hey, Alyssa's assigned to it. Well, she's not activated in a sense. She doesn't have the component that, so Melissa is activated. I've got my email associated with this because Smartsheet has their columns, unlike Excel, are functional. So if I'm looking at the assigned to column, it's a contact list. And so it's going to bring everybody in as a contact, and that's going to give you capability to email, update, request updates to people within the sheet itself because it's already activated. So once they're activated, you do need to put an allocation %. And so between assigned, allocation, and dates, there's where you're going to get your resource management at a high level capability. And so to be able to look at that and move around, that's what it's going to look like per project, per sheet itself.
So Melissa, we do have a question about whether or not Smartsheet can help with resource leveling, right? So what happens when a particular resource, one may be front loaded, another one may be back loaded? Is there a way to take a look at how to balance the workload?
So this is where we're going to be able to see it really high level workload. There, it is on the product roadmap to do kind of scenario planning within resource management itself. But we can see that Jamie, she's red, she's over allocated. So if we need to move down, like, the demo account doesn't have anything. So let's just reassign this. We'll send it to demo. And now it's down here. We just wiped out a lot of the red for Jamie on what's going on here. So you can look at that from a task perspective and reallocate.
So, so thank you. So if there are, I know from a resource, how we manage resources and projects a little bit different. And I know Ira's going to share that with us in a moment. Is there anything that's, when it comes to resources Smartsheet that you feel like is still missing? Is this thing perfect, or is there something else that you would like to see as part of Smartsheet for resources?
The thing that's not perfect and what Smartsheet is working on, but we need a lot of help, is when you do use the resource management tool for the time tracking aspect of it, you're going to get that capability and that function, but we can't necessarily extract that information for the time tracking back into the sheet itself to say, hey, these were the hours of what's going on from a resource management as a separate application. You can always build in on a Smartsheet a time tracking tool for people to report. So if you don't have it from a premium application add-on, you can build it in Smartsheet. If you don't want to build it, then you're going to want to look to Project Widgets to see and or the other integrations that they've got. So from a Smartsheet perspective, there is a whole library within Smartsheet of connectors and integrations. And I know some of the questions asked as far as importing and exporting, what can you work with on Smartsheet? So from an import-export perspective per sheet, you can absolutely bring in Excel, MS Project, Google Sheets, Atlassian, and you can export to that information as well for that aspect of it. But there's a lot of connectors on here. There's a lot of progress being made on the product roadmap. But if you want to look for something that Smartsheet's not doing exactly what you need, like dynamic dropdowns, this is a big one that we want. And I know Smartsheet's working on it, but if you need it before that, you can go there. And then if you can't find it, go to Project Widgets and they'll build it.
Awesome. Yeah. Look, we love building new things. So thank you for that plug. And, one of the really nice things about, how our widgets came alive is because basically someone had a question or a challenge, and, Ira and the team were able to say, you know what, it's okay if it doesn't do it out of the box. We're going to make it happen. Right. So in that, I imagine that's the case regardless of what tool you use, whether it's Project, Smartsheet, or some other tool, whether it's, I don't care if it's Clarity, Primavera, PlanView, you name it. All right, Ira, can you spend a little bit of time just sharing resources? I know a lot of people here are already using resources in some way, but why don't you touch on it for the audience, just in case they don't know?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me just go back to Microsoft Project for a moment. And let me open up the demo project I was using earlier. And one of the features that you have when you're using Microsoft Project is what's referred to as a resource sheet. Let me just go ahead and navigate to the resource sheet here. There we go. Okay, so here's where we can see these are all the resources that have been added to this project. And one of the other features that is quite nice is the ability to define what are called generic resources. These are basically roles. So you can see here, for example, commercial or engineering or legal. So these are generic resources. And then we have the ability using this native feature within Project Online, which is called Build Team from Enterprise. If I click Add Resources, Build Team from Enterprise, this is going to go out to what they call the Enterprise Resource Pool. And this is where I can see all of the people that have been defined, all of the resources that have been defined within my organization. And I have the ability to say, let's take this, this generic engineering resource, and let's replace that person with this named resource, like Andrew Crawford, for example, and then I click replace. And then every place that that generic resource was assigned within that project, that has been replaced with the real named resource, Andrew Crawford. And we have the ability to see, does Andrew have the amount of time required in order to be able to perform all those tasks in the project if I use this resource availability feature. So basically, you're using this common resource pool to assign resources within a project, and then we have the ability then to aggregate that information up across programs and portfolios and report on that using tools like Power BI.
Great, thanks, Ira. So we're coming in at under 10 minutes left in this. So I do want to talk about collaboration, because I think that's something I think a lot of folks would like to see. Melissa, why don't you share a little bit about how we can collaborate using Smartsheet?
All right. So with Smartsheet, you have the ability to give permissions and different levels for different items itself. So within a sheet, you can go up to share, and you can either share at the item level. So let me add, I'll throw Jamie in here, for instance, and I want her to be an admin so that she can change things on the sheet. She can do stuff to the columns, the header, hide, unhide, and do things. Maybe I don't want her to do that. Maybe I want her to be an editor. She can come in and update things that she shared to, but she can't further share this sheet with anybody else. I can make her an editor and can share so that she can share it with other people. Or I can make her just a commenter or a viewer. So she can't touch it. She can't do anything to it, but she can see it. And the beauty about these different items, you can be any one of these roles, permissions, without paying for a license. You only need a license for the people that are going to create sheets, create items in Smartsheet. So I've used Smartsheet in 17,000 person companies, and I only needed 25 licenses because I could share with the executives, with different functional teams, with finance, and I didn't have to pay for licenses for them. So that's really cost effective that they can go in, and I can share it either the sheet level itself, or I can share to the workspace. And so that what that means is I'm going to go out to the different workspaces itself, and in here, these are all your workspaces, and everything that you're going to do is going to be combined in there. And so it's either the object itself, whether it be a dashboard, report, or a sheet. So it's the objects, or you can organize them within folders, or you put those in workspaces. So that's kind of the hierarchy of it. You can only share at the object level or the workspace. And if you share at the workspace level, then these folks can see everything in that workspace for what permissions they have. And so if you don't want to have to share it at the individual object level, you can share it here. You also have the ability to do group management. So if I want to share it by a group, in here, you can go in and share things by group. So make up your PMO group, you put all the different people that you're working with in groups, and then share by group. So then as people come and go, you're not sharing objects by, to Johnny Rocket, and then he leaves, and now I've got to take him off of 100 things to put him in a group and just take him out of the group itself. So you can share things at the group level, individual object, workspace level. And then
Melissa,
with different permissions.
I do want to move this part along, but just one final question related to collaboration. One of the things that's really nice about Smartsheet that Project does not have, I don't believe, right? It's a way for people to access the same file at the same time. So do people actually do this? They go in there and they're actually manipulating the file altogether?
Yeah, you can have as many people into the sheet as you shared to, and they can go in and you can actually see them. So when somebody is on your sheet itself, and I'm trying to go back to an item, you can see at the top of the page. So let me go to the sheet. So where other people are added on here, you're going to see a little picture of them appear at the top of who's in there and what's going on. And from a governance perspective, you can go in and you can see everything that's happening in a cell. I want to view the cell history, who did what, when, and what was it beforehand. You can also do that to the entire sheet. So if I want to see what's going on in the entire sheet from a date range, who did what cells were changed, what cells were deleted. You can even see what was removed if something happens by chance. So you've got that capability to see what's going on. But then from a collaboration standpoint, we also have kind of a built-in chat tool. So you throw at Gabe and he's going to get the message either via email or he'll get it on Slack or on Teams. And so we can build in some easy to use integrations for that aspect of it. And then we can also send by line item. I want to send, or I want to send an update request about that particular line item to this person. So you can do emails and requests right inside of it, as well as multiple people being in there as well.
Awesome.
And then another protection, Ira had pointed it out, you can lock cells so that nobody can touch them. So as long as they're not an admin, you can lock columns or rows. And that protects things that people can or cannot touch also.
Thank you. So we are quickly running out of time. Before we go into closing thoughts, I mean, it seems like we need several hours to go through this, right? And I mean, we didn't even get out the boxing gloves yet. So first, let me say, those of you who are on this call, don't forget, we're going to answer your questions. We'll take it offline and also respond to each question that we have on here the best that we can. What we will also do is, if you want to reach out to us, you can reach out to us on Let's Connect at projectwidgets.com. So if you have questions for Ira, or you have questions for Melissa, please let us know. And what we can do is, again, we'll make sure we connect you with the right person if we have to do some type of follow up. And lastly, if you need support on any of the things that you're looking at here, if it's Microsoft Project, if it's Smartsheet, please let us know. Again, reach out to us at Let's Connect at projectwidgets.com. Or if you need contract resources and you don't have the headcount, the bandwidth, or the skill set, please let us help you. So reach out to us for that as well. So Ira, closing thoughts. Go.
Yeah. So thank you all for joining. Thank you, Melissa. I know this was a death match, but I feel like we were pretty cordial to each other, and I was very impressed with many of the things that you showed today. So I appreciate you sharing that with everyone. And just my closing thoughts about Microsoft Project. I believe it is a very powerful, easy to use, Office-like tool that integrates very nicely with other Office applications and is highly extensible and configurable and customizable, and is a really excellent choice for being able to do complex project management, particularly when you're dealing with multiple projects that have inter-project dependencies and master schedules, and you need to be able to have a sophisticated scheduling engine for calculating critical path. Project is a great choice to do those things.
Awesome. Thank you, Ira. All right, Melissa, 1 minute, go.
All right, Gabe, thanks for hosting. Ira, thanks for battling this one out. And Tiffany, your point, we didn't even get into the automations that Smartsheet provides. If you can think it, you can build it in Smartsheet. So, it's a very cost-effective tool. It can be used by HR for onboarding. So you can justify the cost because it can be used for more than project management. So you can think it, you can build it. And then from an automation perspective, you can build in reminders, alerts, update requests, approval requests. You can change cells automatically. You can record dates. So there's a lot of automation that we didn't even touch that just helps power so much. And you're not babysitting as a project manager, which you often do. Great.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Ira. It looks like we're going to have to do a round 2 at some point. So it looks like there was a lot of enthusiasm around this. We can dive a little bit deeper next time and get really, we'll take a look at the questions and get really deep down and dirtier on some of these other topics. So thank you, everyone, for attending. You'll get a follow-up email from us if you've attended, and you're going to get a replay of this so you can go ahead and rewatch the parts that you need to. Thank you so much. Have an amazing weekend. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.